Alright, hello again, everybody. It is me, Blake. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing an interview with Japan wrestling legend. He is one of probably the biggest names in wrestling Japan history. He is Leatherface, also known as Tony Myers. He has wrestled for many different Japan wrestling companies. He has wrestled for WWE as like an extra, New Japan Pro Wrestling as an extra, and like I said, much, much more. So we will wait until he gets on in here and then we will start. Okay. And again, I want to say sorry for the late start. It is because my Chromebook randomly decided to start randomly loading, and which made the questions not be able to come up, and something with the internet for for a couple or so minutes. But now it should be good. So again, we are just waiting for Leatherface, Tony Myers to get on in here, and then we will start. We're still waiting for him to get on here, and yeah. Okay, yep, he's in here.
Says I'm joining as Tony Myers. The chainsaw's over there. There's a couple of them. You see, it's kind of like a little shrine built over there.
Oh, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
look at this. It's what I wound up putting in the closet for everything. Was in here. All kinds of memorabilia, all kinds of stuff, everything all together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took us a while to get here, but now we're here. And look, see the camera
Yep.
kite's right off, so it doesn't even see my man boobs. You got a lot of cool scars and stuff to look at. So there's always that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's all new to me here. I just moved to Florida like a little over a month ago. So yeah, you can see by the mask, it's my actual scalp. It's my real hair. I get asked by more people. So the whole thing, if it goes up in one of those stupid man buns, yeah, the whole thing just slides right over it. It's nothing but it's ode to Hayabusa. It's a Barrett Steakhouse shack. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The gym, the Road Warriors, and just a whole lot of suit jackets back here too. You can see
Oh
how,
yeah, that's cool.
yeah. I took one of the black ones and I made it my own. But you can see how many suits I actually own back here. I got a job wearing a shirt and tie. And I work in an office too in Japan. But yeah, if you see the actual craftsmanship on the back of it, yeah, it's you see how it is? It's fishing line instead of just using and tightening up the same mask every time. Yeah,
Yeah.
fishing wire, which is like 8,000 times stronger.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
All right,
so,
so I'll ask you my first question.
mhm.
All right, so when did you start doing wrestling and what made you want to do it?
Well, I started going around when I was like 13, 14 years old and just collecting ring jackets and just going to every independent that I could. Because at the time there was like so many out in Jersey and Jersey State Athletic Commission and all that stuff. But then, the closer I got to it, I'm like, wow, some of these guys really aren't too good. They're barely a step above what I do in my parents' basement when I wrestle cushions. So, I would go home, I'd emulate that stuff, and then eventually, it was actually 2 days after my 15th birthday, I was given an assignment to haul a ring to another independent show, and they were short people. And I'd only had like two or three times I was actually in a ring, but they just needed bodies for a battle royal. But I always loved it. I always emulated it. I always, if other kids weren't around for me to wrestle, I would just find something else to wrestle. I'd build my own ring or whatever. Just being a mischievous teenage kid, just wanting to get out there and do things.
Yeah. Did you watch wrestling as a kid? If so, who was your like favorite wrestler growing up?
I grew up in Jersey, so you'd always see Madison Square Garden and the whole network and everything, and USA Network, primetime wrestling. Growing up in the Northeast, growing up in Jersey, it was always all about the WWF. And then, later on, you found that there was different promotions. There was an NWA and an AWA, and you would see the magazines on the news racks. At the time, they sold magazines out in the open, and it's just you would see all these things on covers of magazines and everything, and you would just get fascinated. You'd be like, wow, there's other groups and there's other wrestlers, and this group doesn't like that group. And then it just, there was so many layers of it to uncover once you discovered that there was like smaller independents out there or whatever. But it wasn't until I was about 15, 16 years old and I already had a couple matches under my belt where I was just like, oh man, like what the hell is this in Japan? Like what are these people doing? This is nuts, like all forms of the wrestling, all Japan, New Japan, it's a serious work ethic, and you were like, what are these Japanese people doing? Like, God,
Yeah.
you knew that they had more workmanship than the American wrestlers almost, and they tried harder, but it just became another level of fascination because you were like, wow, look at what these people are doing over in Japan. Like, they're like such an athletic, sport-based product. You couldn't help but be curious and go, wow, like what the hell am I watching here?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what that was. People are trying to like message me. I'm like, just go on Facebook, man.
Oh,
like I copied and pasted. I'm like, go on Facebook and listen to the guy host the show. Don't message me. I'm not gonna answer your question.
yeah. Is there any wrestler you like to watch nowadays?
No, because like everybody else today is pretty much a copy of somebody else, or they've stolen their moveset or mindset or whatever. It's um. I mean, I have my rare like favorites like El Vikingo and some of the younger Japanese guys are like really, really good coming up, but there's nobody that like I like say to myself, oh, I haven't seen that match of his yet. It's not like back in the day, like Terry Funk or somebody. You were like you had to watch every
Yeah.
move of his because it was just it covered like every gambit. It covered everything under the umbrella of professional wrestling. There was brawling, there was wrestling, there was reversals, there was
Yeah,
so
definitely.
yeah, it seemed to cover everything under the entire pro wrestling umbrella.
Yeah. Who were your wrestling trainers?
Oh gosh! See, originally it wasn't just like an open closed case. It was first I went to Larry Sharp and his Monster Factory, like just talk with the headbangers, the spiders, talk with those guys, and I'm like, man, I was 15 years old showing up there, and I was like, there's no way that you guys remember us because not even a year later, Gino Caruso and Mike Masters, Rocky Jones, they had their own school, and then Mike Sharp had his own school in Brick Township, New Jersey, and um, then Bill DeMont had an old racquetball court that was in Lodi, New Jersey. Then he started training
Yeah.
people in his own. So in those first 4 years, it was like me and a whole like clique of you know basically teenage kids from Jersey. We're just going from one school to another to another to another. So it's not like I can actually say like, oh, Mike Masters trained me because like I went to Larry Sharp's first, and Larry Sharp was like, here's how you lock up. He would have other people show me how to lock up and everything else. And then like when I went to Mike Sharp's, there was already a whole bunch of guys that were like slightly older than me. And they were like, hey, here's how you do this. Here's how you run these ropes. And you know what I mean? So it's like between all four places, you just kept floating around and just kept wrestling and wrestling until, you figured you'd catch somebody's eye or in the meantime, you were just loving to do it. You were just loving to wrestle. It wasn't even about, it was about getting booked, but it wasn't so much about making money. It was because you knew that wasn't going to happen overnight. So
Yeah.
it was more about just getting this love to wrestle out of you so you can learn more and more to actually be better inside the ring. And two, I have to add this between all four of them. Um, I think one of the most amazing things was, it all still stayed universal, like all the holds and counter holds and all that kind of stuff. But it also became a thing of like, oh, I could learn like just a little bit more about this from this guy, and this guy, he'll teach me a little bit more of this. And so it was basically anywhere that you could wrestle, any knowledge that you could get in your head, any way to improve yourself, any way to learn, and any way to get your name kind of out there and that kind of thing. Because I mentioned it before. If you were crazy enough at 15, 16 years old to think, oh man, I'm gonna be like I'm going to be the next Roddy Piper. I'm going to be the next Hulk Hogan overnight, or nowadays, if you think that you're going to a wrestling school and in one day you're going to become John Cena, it's like, oh God. You think you're going to be Roman Reigns, you haven't even paid your tuition yet, and you're
Yeah.
telling people what your name is and what your gimmick's going to be and what your finisher is. Like, oh man. In Japan, they have like a quick way of weeding that out. They just they just kick the crap out of the guys. Like,
Oh
who,
wow.
yeah, who do you think you are? Why do you think you belong here? Or you get weeded out fast because the other guys take notice of it and they take exception to it. You're all already there. You're all already bonding with people. Um, you're already getting to know other people. You're already getting to be around people that have the same exact thing that you have of interest to them. So it's just like, just relax. You're gonna eventually get there. You're trying to push too hard for something. It's not gonna happen. Have a
Yeah.
backup plan or something.
Yeah. Who inspired you, family and wrestling wise, to get into wrestling?
Mm, family wise, it was something I would occasionally catch my family growing up watching. There's always that reserve viewer that doesn't want people to catch them looking at professional wrestling, because it's silly or hokey or whatever. And it was people like me that were just like, screw it, I'm a wrestling fan. I love wrestling. So then you would find other
Yeah.
friends, and a lot of the local fans at the independent shows. There was always like a Perry Smith hanging around, Joel Gertner. Yeah, just all of us that wound up like those diehard fans, like Sign Guy Dudley and those guys. We all eventually wound up having something to do with professional wrestling, just because we were such fans of it. We all like bonded over it. We all got to see each other every single month at the matches, and we were like, So then you would just have another part of the conversation for this guy, or you know, um, I remember at one local set of matches, it was only like 10 miles from where I grew up in Jersey. I'll never forget this ever. I remember all of us coming together and we're like, what do you think? They got Percy Pringle up there as Paul Bearer. He's a brand new manager for The Undertaker. And all of us were like, yeah, let's see what happens, man. We were all just fans. I probably got more encouragement from them. My own family, of course, they wanted me to have a backup plan. They wanted me to stay in college and that kind of thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'll never regret one day out of my life that I chose to pursue and go down the road. But then again, only 20 years old and getting to go to Japan for the first time. It's like that doesn't happen to nobody. So you realize early on just how lucky you truly are. I guess you don't want to jinx it. You don't want to, you know, but there's such a
Yeah.
long road
Definitely.
ahead of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Who would you say has been the stiffest wrestler you've gone in the ring with so far in your career?
Oh God, there's been so many. There's been a whole bunch of them. Um, Hero, yeah, definitely Hashimoto. Tomohiko Hashimoto. He's a great big old dude that comes out to that colors, the rap song. And he's got the
Yeah.
bandana over his eye and everything. He's one of the top guys right now in Noah. If you ever get to see him, dude's a legit 6'3", and he's a legit 320 pounds. And he says that he's never done a squat a day in his life because he came from the world of the MMA. Getting hit by one of
Yeah.
his forearms, oh, I didn't even know where the hell I was after getting struck. But there's other guys for other reasons, like Oya Takase. He's one stiff little bastard. The guy that just passed away from the Truth Commission, Mantar, the guy that was Mantar. I
Oh
was
wow.
down in Memphis and he would headbutt me, and I would just be like, "What is this guy's deal, man?" Um, there were a lot of guys that were unintentionally stiff. To this day, one of my better friends is Road Dogg. I just everything about that guy. he's such a man's man. He's such a great dude. Um, I remember one corner being one time backed up into the corner on Memphis TV on live TV, and he's just jabbing me in the corner. And Road Dogg, the guy from New Age Outlaws, DX,
Yeah.
he hit me with a right, or no, he hit me with a left that just rung my bell. I remember we went to the back and he's like, I caught you on that second one. I'm like, dude, I looked up and like everything colors reverted on me. I was like, man, I remember getting, there's been so many guys throughout the years that have continually been stiff and they're just like unapologetic, like, oh, that's the way I do it kind of thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
as long as it's safe, you catch me in a safe zone and you're not swinging for the fences to try to hurt me. Hey, I'm good with that. Things happen.
Yeah.
It's the world of wrestling. Either somebody is not
Yep.
very good at what they're trying to do, they're intentionally that way, and there's nothing they could do about it, or there's so many different ways that you could actually look at it because everybody's individual and everybody's different anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah. Were you ever in school or amateur wrestling as a kid?
Mm. I tried it and I remembered that the wrestling coach from my high school hated my guts because I was like a smartass in his class. And not only that, I didn't have a lot of friends in high school, and I was daydreaming about wrestling constantly. So that guy had in for me, never liked me, whatever. So he would just, I remember approaching him around my freshman, sophomore year, and it was just like, yeah, I want to get on the wrestling team and all this stuff. And he was just like, gave me this look like, you're not going. And like, I was doing very good at lacrosse anyway. So I was like, well, then I'll just use winter track to stay in shape for it. I don't care. And, by then, too, my freshman year of high school, I already had a professional wrestling match. So it was just like, well, then what do I need with this amateur stuff? But then I didn't realize that for professional wrestling, they were going to try to teach you a lot of amateur stuff. So, I kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. And even to this day, I still go to Hamaguchi's gym in Tokyo. Uh, he's got his gym. Every single one of the top New Japan pro wrestling guys have come through Animal Hamaguchi's gym. He's had so much homegrown talent from Tajiri, Tetsuya Naito, um, Hanma. These are all top guys in New Japan. And
Yeah.
um, everybody goes there. It's just number one is to test out your endurance. Number two, it's to get yourself into like ring shape, like super shape. And the place is only like 5 blocks from my house over there. Plus, um, it's the camaraderie, all the guys, and whenever somebody comes in there with intentions of pro wrestling, they'll just send them right to me, and they'll be like, "Hey, you can learn holds with Tony over here," and I'm always down for it because I'm breaking a sweat, and it's helping me in the long run, just keeping up with them because these people are half my age, they're half my size. Brings out the best in you though, and it motivates you too.
Definitely.
Oh, you see the younger generation. I hate when people sour on them and they're like, "Well, that's not the way wrestling's supposed to be." It's like there is no template for professional wrestling. It's all about trying to make money, draw money, make money at the door, and you know, who told anybody that? Oh, that's the way pro wrestling's supposed to be, or you got to think outside the box sometime. You got to
Yeah.
you look at pro wrestling DDT in Japan, and I mean, what athletes? All those guys are tremendous athletes. So who's anybody to say that anything that they're doing is wrong? They're making money. They're making great money with solid sponsorships. I mean, it
Yep.
it it gets to the point where it's like, who is anybody to say with how much wrestling changes, with how much it evolves, with how much it gets with the times? Who's to say that one thing's wrong? Wrestling's always going to evolve. you know,
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't, as a wrestling fan, bear to ever have been one of those guys or see myself as one of those people that there's only one way to do it. There's only this way, and it doesn't mean to defy anybody who's training you or anything, but it's to say that more along the line. of once you have those basics, then you could try to introduce new ways, new reversals, new holds. But until you learn from, off the top, I would say, just hang out and observe more, and especially for the younger generation, it's like you're not going to tell these older guys anything that they don't already know. And you're also not
Yeah,
going to tell them, yeah. So it's like, what could you possibly have to say that you're talking over this guy that has this experience or whatever? Like, what could you possibly walk up to an Undertaker and tell him that he doesn't know about wrestling? Then you'll get people that
yeah.
are like, that'll be like, well, Undertaker was kind of quiet when I was around him. It's like, yeah, did you go over there with a big loud mouth, or did you go in there and just listen and observe, mind your business? Like, which one did you do?
What do you consider to be your weakness and strength in wrestling?
Weakness is just injuries piling up and just father time catching up with you. Some of the things that you used to be able to do with the greatest of ease, you realize were a half lifetime ago, and you're like, you got to find a way to squeeze around that and go another direction. You know that a Rey Mysterio Jr. only comes along once in a friggin' lifespan, and how he's able to still hold up, doing everything that he does is just unbelievable. But you know,
Definitely.
definitely weaknesses. I mean, father time waits for no man. Father time, it's gonna get you in the end. It's a weakness, and I've seen. I see more effort being put in, but I don't see myself as nearly as quick or anything else as I used to be. And learning to accept that and accept that you're not going to like run to the ropes, spring off the bottom rope, jump to the top rope, slide down to the middle, and then do a moonsault. Like, you're not doing that these days. Nowadays, it's like get your ass on the top rope and moonsault. That's it.
Yeah,
You don't have the knees or the hips that you used to. You don't have the same quickness, reflexes. Can't jump nearly as high, but it's like just accept it and find another way around it. That's really all you have to do.
yep.
I'm seeing people I know comment in here. Greg Wayne, who picture me at 20 years old, 1994, wrestling on all of his father's cards and wrestling his older brother. And picture me wrestling without the mask and his brother wrestling with the mask, then his brother coming out without the mask to wrestle me under a mask. Babyface heel. This is, all the Memphis house shows in the mid to late 80s. And they often run sometimes 2, 3 times a week with some of those house shows. So just imagine that. It's like if you didn't improve by then, you're a lost cause. You had no hope. So
Is it hard traveling from show to show? And what is the worst thing about traveling?
the worst thing about traveling is the delays, and everybody's cranky, and you don't want to lash out at nobody, but then you still like, and you could feel it too, especially when the last whole series of FMWE house shows and everything, to where we did a bit of a tour. It was just, you could feel guys, not tensions mounting, but you could feel some of the guys were getting a little tired of some of the other guys. Just 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 the entire, waiting. There's nothing you could do but sit back on travel, try to catch up on sleep or whatever. But uh, it gets to you. You can't always be in the best of moods. It's kind of sad in a
Yeah,
way. What are you gonna do? You gotta roll with the punches. It's not gonna be.
yeah,
Not everybody can sit there and cater to you, and I find it such an effective way to kill time because you look up and you think who's around, and then next thing the boys are helping you with your Japanese, or you find something or overhear something that's interesting that make you walk to the back of the bus and be like, "What are you guys doing?" But yeah, it can really wear you out. It can really make you tired. It could really start. You start feeling it sometimes. guys have like weird or annoying habits or whatever.
Yeah. Who was your first opponent in front of a crowd, and how did you feel going into that first match?
You know, a bit of what I covered before. It was actually a battle royal, and it was 2 days after my 15th birthday, and it was just like, we need people. And I was like, but I've only went to the wrestling class. I've only went to the wrestling school 2 times. And they're like, we need bodies. And they're like, don't worry, he'll place you. They'll find a way to get you over the top rope. Don't worry, we just need bodies. And I was one of the two people that hauled the ring there, and like one of the only two people that set it up after driving it there, getting it down an elevator and loading it into a truck. So that whole thing happened literally, um, I want to say 3.5 hours after I arrived with the ring. That I found out somebody told me hey, they need people, and I was expecting this guy to walk right past me in the hallway, and they're like, kid, they need people. Well, they found somebody with a mask that just gave me a mask for me to go out there, and I was so scared. I got to the point where I would try to go up to the ring and try to walk around the ring, and they're like, they've already started letting the people in. There was when they say people, there was maybe 30 people there. It was in the middle of like a snowstorm too, and which is why half the wrestlers didn't show up, which is why they needed people so bad that they took a kid 2 days after his 15th birthday and just threw him under a mask for a battle royal. But I remember trying to go back out there I was like, maybe if I walk around the ring, I'll feel better about being around the ring or whatever. And they were like, hey,
Yeah.
get back here. They've already started letting the people in. And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking, my God, what the hell am I going to do for like costuming purposes? Like, what am I going to do? I was like, so I wound up wrestling barefoot because the socks and the docksiders that I wore docksiders with socks. So the docksiders and socks that I showed up in there, they're like, there's no way. So I wound up going out there barefoot, and I took a pair of sweatpants, and you know how you could, I pulled the part that rolls up at the bottom of the ankle. I pulled it all the way up, and then I tucked the other part in to make it look like I was wearing knee pads, because I didn't have any gear with me. I didn't, I thought the worst
Yeah.
thing that would happen is, or the craziest thing that happened would be if they made me a referee. I'm like, oh, okay, then all I got to be handed is a ref shirt because I thought, I've already got sweatpants. Those are kind of like referee pants. I didn't know
Yeah.
anything, but I just remember that like the final hour leading up to me actually getting in the ring for a battle royal that was like an hour and a half away, that was 90 minutes away. I was so scared, especially at 15 years old. I'm like, I barely been taught how to lock up. I don't even have to take a bump over the top yet. I haven't been taught any of this. Oh man. And
Yeah.
what made it worse is the guys got angry with me because every time they go to throw me over the top rope, I know how to take that bump. And I was like, I'd scoop back into the ring and I tell them, I don't know how to go over that. I don't know how to take the bump to the floor. Like just, and like one
Yeah.
of the guys picked me up like a body slam me so that my feet landed on the apron and just kind of pushed me off the apron. And that was my debut.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then like months and months later, there was like a couple of six mans I was involved in. Altogether, when I was like 15 years old, I want to say I had like 5 or 6 matches tops.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and most of them were battle royals. So
Yeah. How did the crowd react when they seen you for the first time in that match?
I just remember people laughing because take back to about 15 years old, man. I'm 5'2" or 5'3" and like 130 pounds. No, like 115. I think I was actually
Yeah.
150. Yeah. So like people are looking at it like, is this a joke? Like what the hell is this? And then I'll never forget afterwards. I guess the guy paid attention to what kind of like sweatpants I was in, and I wore the same pair that I used to wrestle in because I didn't even know I was going to wrestle that day. And I just remember like one guy going to leave going, see, that wasn't even a wrestler. That was a ring crew guy when I was tearing down the ring. Some wise ass said that. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what is wrong with these people? Like, why is everybody? I was like, I tried though. Why do these people? Why do they hate that? It was like, I just remember one guy
Yeah.
when they came walking out. This, it was like, it was kind of like Central Jersey, which Jersey is the Garden State because of all the, crops and everything that they plant and can grow and the climate and everything. And it was like this old farmer looking guy, and he just goes, "Oh!" When he saw me walk out, this old farmer guy just goes, "Oh!" like, like, and the stupidest thing, like to try to make myself look like a wrestler. I wrestle without my shirt. You can imagine what an unathletic, like 115 pounds at 5'2" looks like.
Yeah.
And then just as time went on, like I think I sprouted like 5 inches or so between like my freshman and sophomore year. But looking looking back at it, I had no business climbing in a ring. No, and and if you know now, the worst thing you could do is send somebody who's not trained out there. They just needed people. I remember there
Yeah.
were 5 people in that battle royal. They were waiting for everybody to come together. There was like one car had one a Public Enemy in it, and I'm trying to think um, who the random guys were, but like finally the car load full of like real wrestlers showed up, and they had like a singles match and a tag match that were like 2 hours long, and
Oh, geez.
yeah, then they had the main event or whatever, which was like the guy promoting the show versus like a buddy of his or whatever. But I just thought, man, what fan would pay to see this? This is just, it's just complete shit. It's just terrible. And I knew it too. I knew it going in. I was like, look at
Yeah.
them. I was like, they don't even have. I was like, they don't even have enough wrestlers for this show. What the hell am I doing here? And then they let somebody like me wrestle, and I told you I just barely turned 15 years old. Like, who the hell would do that?
Yeah. Right.
But at the time, you're so happy to get there and so happy to do it that it doesn't matter to you. You don't care. You're, hey, look,
Yeah.
I'm a wrestler. Yeah, I'm a wrestler. All right.
If you could go back in time and wrestle anyone that has passed away, who would that be?
Oh gosh, God, I want to say the Junkyard Dog. I really do. Just because, like, when
Hmm.
I was a kid, man, the guy was like massively over WWF, and you know, just to do it, just to say it, or Andre the Giant, just to say that I was in the ring with one of them,
Yeah.
or the Sheik, probably the original Sheik. The Iron Sheik. There's been like a couple of tag matches, but anyway, I won't say the original Sheik. I remember it was me and a couple people went out to the ring when he wrestled at the ECW arena before ECW was ECW and Extreme.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
me and a couple of the ring crew guys went up and he like stabbed us in the head with a spike. And I was maybe 17 then. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But yeah, I'd have to like basically dwindle it down to like Andre the Giant, Junkyard Dog, Big John Studd. Maybe some of the like biggest names as I was like, you know, 10 years old or whatever. Rodney
Yeah.
Piper, yeah, Paul Orndorff.
Who is or was like your top dream opponent?
Until I actually got to wrestle him, Terry Funk. I
Yeah.
was like, if I could just do that. And then I didn't realize that like Funk would wrestle anybody. To him, it wasn't so special. He didn't care who you put him in the ring with. Um, but like just being a job guy, just breaking around in Jersey and breaking in around there, like the Savaldis, they had ICW, IWCCW. I mean, like all this was It's just kind of in a weird way. I was a job guy and a young boy when all these old places were starting to go out of business and nobody had TV anymore and that kind of thing. Um, so I was able and fortunate when I went to Memphis too. I was so able and fortunate there to have gotten to wrestle guys that were just, pretty much getting out of the business by then and that kind of thing. Um, you know, so for me, it was like all these dream match opponents. It kind of happened like at a silly pace with me because, like, um, especially Memphis TV because I was a big Memphis fan. But they also too they had the WWF guys routinely coming through town. So then,
Yeah.
the entire like bucket list of wanting to wrestle this guy, wanting to wrestle that guy, dream opponents. It's funny how fast it all faded because like one by one, I was like, oh my god, I got to wrestle Sid Vicious. I was like, um, Tom Pritchard, and, like guys that you knew were just good, like solid talent, like Memphis. You walk in there and oh, okay, I'm wrestling the Dirty White Boy. You always knew he was great, and it was just
Yeah.
so weird to me that like they didn't have much to discuss with you. It was just like, okay, this is this, that's that, and then there's the finisher. And it was like, by then, you learned enough about wrestling to know don't try to say too much, don't try to talk too much, don't put your own stuff in there. Like, you know, um, and eventually, guys like Tracy Smothers would allow you to do all kinds of moves and everything and just call
Mm-hmm.
them fly. So you were like, little by little, more and more people would trust you as a job guy. You're like, they would see you in the ring with other guys and be like, well, I've seen him do a drop kick. All right, let him do two. Kind of got full
Yeah.
there. When I broke in, it was like a real era of a lot of the guys that were leaving wrestling that had been such huge names were getting out, so I got a chance to wrestle all of them too.
Yeah. Who is your three, if you could narrow it down to three favorites that you've wrestled in the ring, who would you put on your top three favorites?
Gosh, I hate to say that, like, they'd have to be like Japanese people because, like, I've wrestled Akira Yaguchi a billion times in 1,000 different incarnations. Same thing with Naoshi Sano and Hiroshi Watanabe, him too. Like, he was one of the zombies when I first wrestled him. They had like Zombia 1 and Zombia 2. And he was like one of the zombies. And this is like when I'm 20, 21 years old. And I was having matches with him then going, wow, these are pretty good. I thought they were good. We were just young guys trying everything. Um,
Yeah.
Stateside, oh, easily. If I could I always thought Road Dogg was the smoothest guy, for a larger name, for what he became and everything else too. Um, I just thought he was like so good. Like when that guy didn't get the credit that I thought he deserved, people having great matches with him, I'm like, they've never been in the ring with him. It's the same thing with like a Jamie Dundee. Like that guy could have a great match with anybody. Lawler's the exact
Oh,
same way. I never got nervous wrestling Jerry Lawler because he was so good that you knew it's impossible for him to have a bad match. Like you could
yeah.
not have a bad match with Jerry Lawler. It's impossible. Just because you
Yeah.
you could feel his hands like ever so slightly moving you in this direction. You could not screw it up. There's guys out there that are so good like that. Like for early on, we all knew that The Rock had something. We just didn't know how much
Yep.
something he had. But him too, he was like a smooth guy. And I remember like a half dozen matches in, he goes, I want to try that dive over the top. If you could get a hand on me, if you could catch me. And I was like, this guy's only had like maybe not even a dozen matches yet. And he's wanting to do that. And he trusts some idiot like me to catch him. Like, what do you say to that?
Yeah.
It's so hard to like just limit it just to like even just down to three people because Amano is another
Definitely.
guy. Yeah, he does Leatherface like in a native way in Japan. My buddy Hamano, but everybody always says how fucking it's just like they're like, oh, how terrible he is. He's not good. I'm like, you've never even been in a ring with him. You don't know how it feels, like, and I don't think any of the stuff he does looks bad. I don't know what people are expecting out of him, but he's an older guy too. But, he's another one.
Yeah,
Whether he's Crazy B, whether he's Monster Leather, whether he's, you know, the first time I ever saw this guy, he was um, Kung Fu Mummy. I'm not kidding. That's what his actual. He was Kung Fu Mummy. He was a mummy that did kung fu with a stupid wig on his head. That's the first time I ever saw him, and that was like in 2009, 2008. And yeah, he's had a billion incarnations since, but I always felt that like the scrutiny from the media on him is just so harsh. I'm like, he's not that bad. He's really not. But as far as like
yeah,
favorite, oh yeah, like him or Mr. Pogo or Nonita, um, Sano, Achiro Yaguchi, Naoyase Takase, who I've had, I mean, hundreds literally of matches with him too. He would wrestle under different masks and everything, different identities. When Pogo's WWS cards were kind of short on wrestlers, the two of us would be on the undercard wrestling each other as like as Mr. Wrestling 3000 against Diablo X. Nothing about him looked like a Diablo X. It was just Pogo with
yeah,
like yeah, it was just Mr. Pogo and, telling him, get yourself a bunch of generic masks. If we need extras, we need extra people. Get yourself
yep,
some different trunks, or turn the ones you have inside out. Yeah, it was so you could see it's everything. It's so universal. Everything comes back around. Like as far
yeah.
as yeah,
Do you usually get along or become friends with most of your opponents?
you kind of sort of do in a weird way. But then there's like for years and years and years, I was really tight with Nozawa, Rungai, the guy from Juggalo Championship Wrestling and Impact and all that stuff. And then eventually with him, I'm like, I saw him become Booker of Noah, and I was just like, we were friends for what we were at the time. Now he's not like one of my best buddies. We were really tight then, but I'm like, I guess he just kind of sort of moved on. So everybody thinks that like
Yeah,
everyone back there is like best buddies, and they're not exactly. I mean, there's not only is there professional jealousy, but some people in real life, you just know they're not going to get along. Like you probably have it at your school, or you probably have it even if you work like a part-time regular job. There's just some people just don't want to get along with one another.
yeah. If you could make a Survivor Series match, including you, with four wrestlers of any era who are still alive, who would you choose as partners?
It's kind of like just to claim that I partnered up with them. Oh, it would kind of be yeah, it'd kind of be easy here. I would have to say Terry Funk just because he's Terry Funk. I would definitely say Hulk Hogan just because he's Hulk Hogan, and for me to say, hey, I teamed up with him. Oh no, wait, you said living. Oof, man, that just made it harder. Um, whatever's left of Mick Foley, just because he's Foley.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
thing with Ric Flair, just to say that you teamed up with a Ric Flair. Um, John Cena's another one. Because I think the guy unfairly does not get the credit that he really truly deserves. I'm going to say on a personal note, Chris Jericho, just because Chris is. I'll explain this about Chris Jericho. It's really strange. Jericho is the most non-big headed professional wrestler I've ever met. For all the stuff he's done, for all the places he's been, all the money he's made, all the dream match opponents that guy's had, all the WrestleMania moment, everything. Chris Jericho remains like one of the most humble, down to earth, nicest guys. Like when Rick Titan passed away, he knew that Rick Titan stayed at my apartment. You know, the guy that was the fake Razor Ramon. And
Oh,
anyway,
oh yeah, Rick Bogner.
Bogner, right? Well, he was Big Titan, but that's because the Japanese office messed up. His name was supposed to be Big Titan, but his name was supposed to be Rick Titan. That was his wrestling name in Canada, right? Well, the Japanese
Yeah,
were like, they thought that they meant Big Titan, so they always called him Big Titan. Yeah, but Rick Bogner, he was a motivational speaker up until the day he died in Canada. And so many people came from Canada, which you know that they're driving over 30 miles away just to make $40 if they're lucky every night in Memphis. So I knew that he had been let go or he was awaiting reassignment from the WWF. And I'll never forget Chris Jericho reaching out going, "Hey man, Rick always said you were good to him." And he was like, that was my buddy there. He said that to me after he passed away. And I thought, for you to take the time out I wanted to ask him, like, how the hell did you get my number? He's like, you've always been a phone call away. But like, I always thought like, that's just a cool thing to do. And, you know, um, one of his best buddies to this day is such a great guy with no intentions, um, which is why, I'll get upset when people like go to put him down and the whole chaos project that they were doing in AEW. And, you know, Dr. Luther, great guy, another one
mm,
who just stayed humbled and just stayed a real human being after all these years.
yeah,
But if somebody's going to be that personally nice to you, what does he have to gain by corresponding with me? Like, I live in my own world in Japan, like, I don't have any bearing on what's going on in the States or anything like that, you know?
definitely,
So
yeah,
you just have to accept about some people that they're inherently like a really nice person, that they're just good people for no reason, no real agenda. You just have to accept it
yeah.
with them, and yeah.
Would you rather be in a street fight or death match?
Well, death matches are really dangerous. Um, and they continue to up the ante. Street fight to me is just fun because it's like bell rings, go out there and just start beating the crap out of one another. It's the one thing I
Yeah,
love about Japan. Like, you're on your way, they make the entrances, da 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 da. All of a sudden, that bell rings, and whether it's a baby face or heel, they just run across the ring and just start wailing, bang, 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 bang. You're like, all right, once that bell rings, it's just like no excuses. It's on with a street fight. With the death match, the bell rings, and then the two of you look at each other and go, "That's a barbed wire board in that corner. I'm not going in. You are." You just grab their hair and you go right to the races, trying to shove their head into it. But I mean, to
yeah,
me, street fights are more fun because once that bell rings and you just start ripping into each other and pounding one another, no matter what wrestling ever evolves into and this, that, and the other, not only does it make you almost like feel like a tough guy, you're laying it in, you're hitting each other really hard, they're all your friends, but like it also dials it back into like a reality based thing. I mean, you're watching somebody just punch the hell out of somebody else.
Would you rather be in a blindfolded match, handcuffed to your opponent, or a dog collar?
I think there's more to do with the dog collar. I think with a blindfold thing, I mean, that's all you're doing is telling people, I can't see, I can't see, I can't, it like limits you to so much. You're spending half the time like pointing to the guy going, is he here? Is he here? Is he here? And the fans are going, yeah, boo, yeah. It's cool to involve the people, but I think even fans, they get tired of blindfold matches, where they're just, it's monotonous. Like, he's
Yeah,
behind you. I think even fans get tired of their involvement in a blindfold match.
yeah,
And there's just so much more to do with the strap. Think about all the moves that you could perform with a strap wrapped around somebody's leg and dumping them on their head or whatever.
yeah, or tripping them.
Yeah. wait until the guy walks away, kicking his foot out from under him too. And then once he's down on the
Yep.
mat, you already got a strap in your hand. Why not? You either lace into him with a bunch of stuff or put it around his neck and drag him places.
Yeah. Is there any piece of merch that you have or had that has sold out pretty quickly?
Oof. So much stuff has, and that's the amazing thing. Like, the stuff that you see behind me here is like stuff from personal, like growing up, like in the one bin, and then in like this other bin, half of it is all stuff that I've collected on me from the independents, and then the other half of this giant box is like all stuff from Japan. So I try to like save that, and I've got like a whole ton of posters, and there's over here, there's over there on that table on top of that dresser, if you can see it.
Yep.
You look close, it's nothing but keychains, stickers, magnets, mouse pads. There's buttons in there, fan art. Somebody painted a nice picture of me and all that stuff. Um,
Oh yeah, wow.
so like I collected my own stuff from over there. Keychains, I think I said that. There's coasters over there, like myself and a whole bunch of magazines. And now I've started to go out there and try to collect more on myself because like I just think about all the years that I just kind of would see myself on some merchandise and be like, eh. But um, the one day I was walking down the street in Hanjo and I saw a bubblegum machine and it had my face. I've got this picture on my Twitter account. It's got me on the bubblegum machine. I'm walking down the street and I see myself, my face, like a cartoon character, and underneath it, and got the content says Chainsaw Tony. And yeah, and it's got,
Oh wow.
yeah, so like stuff like that is just so neat. Now I'm making it a point to start collecting my own stuff to keep, but I'm doing an experiment this time around, like because I'm getting to where they could order T-shirts from either here in America or I'm trying to get a hold of the guy from Takasaki who owns it's like a museum there where they can print out the T-shirts and then I get a cut of what's sold. But so many of those T-shirts went so fast last time that I was like, this is the last time I'm bringing T-shirts here because um, I was like, it's just a pain in the rear end keeping up with the sizes, keeping up with all the inventory. But I couldn't believe how fast the keychains went last time. So I'm like thrilled to bring back all new ones. I got that, and I got magnets coming, and I also have, buttons like 1 by 5 inch by 1 by 5 inch like button that you pin onto
Oh
something.
yeah. Yeah.
Did I say magnets already? I got 3 inch
Yep.
magnets like you put on your fridge, and then stickers. There's
Oh
stickers because
okay.
I saw how well the stickers did over there, and instead of buying out a whole bunch of stickers from those people and selling them for what I want to sell them for, I could just get them for a buck piece a here and $1 a piece here and just sell them for, whatever I'd like to over there. Most of them go for like $30, $40 a piece. So
Oh geez, wow.
yeah, it's not about making the money. Well, that's like signed and everything, but it's not about making
Oh yeah.
so much on profit. It's about just imagine if you saw somebody wearing your stuff in public. You look at it and you go, wow, that guy got a T-shirt of mine. I wonder who it is. Do I know this person? Or
Yeah.
they talk about other people, and he goes, well, I don't know. He's like, my kid's favorite wrestler is a Leatherface thing, and it's like a Japanese guy telling me. He's like, we can't go into a hardware store without him picking up a chainsaw, and the kid's like 6, 7 years old, and he said, yeah, that's my nephew that loves that, and so they bought, they bought like a few of these T-shirts or whatever, and I didn't even tell the guy. I wanted to tell him, hey, that's me, but the guy thought it was really interesting because I walked up to him and I'm speaking Japanese, and clearly I'm a foreigner, and I'll bet later on he kicked himself in the ass realizing that guy with all that hair up and a man bun was the guy on the T-shirt. Good and
Yeah.
well, they know everybody on the indies there, on the independent scene. See, no good and well, he eventually found out after I stopped talking to him.
Yeah.
Uh, it,
Is there any time?
oh, I'm sorry.
What?
I interrupted you. Oh, I interrupted you. Oh, what were you going to say?
Is there any time a fan has seen you in public and got super surprised and or excited?
Yeah, plenty of times. Because the hair's a dead giveaway. And then I'm always wearing either my own shirt or the company shirt so they know I'm a pro wrestler in some kind of fashion form. I mean, how many 6 foot 1 inch, 260 pound, foreigners with, you can see the head. I always keep it really close on the sides. If not, I shave it. And
Oh yeah.
combined with that, when people said, "Oh, when I was in school or when I was in college, I had hair down to my ass." No, I got hair down to my ass. Like this is, yeah, I've been growing that for 9 years. It's over 3 feet long.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, so it's virtually impossible to hide hair like that. You can't put it in a ponytail because you see my bag on my bed. I carry my bag. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. It's just a backpack, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you do that with a ponytail, eventually it's going to get caught in there. It's a pain in the ass. Not only that, when you're driving, if you have a ponytail, every time see the seat that I'm in here, and then every time I would turn, I would feel it pulling and yanking. So, and two, I got in the habit of, because of the mask, I always had the man bun on because it just makes the
Yeah.
mask slide right on, slide right off, slide right on, right?
Yeah.
So, once people see the hair, they know something's up. They're like, that's either that guy's in a band or something. But a lot of fans put it together because, I mean, they either see the hair dyed or, they just know. They know something's up. This person's somebody. And then if my sleeves are rolled up a little bit or anything, they see the scar tissue and they know right away. They know right away. I'm best known for all the deathmatch stuff. But yeah, they know right away like
Yeah.
something's up. It makes it virtually, it makes it cool in a sense because you can't virtually go anywhere without someone going, "Hey!" They know you either from the gym, or they know your story, or they know that you're a wrestler already, or they've seen me wrestle without the mask, and they go, "Well," because everybody in Japan, everybody especially in Tokyo, they know it's the same guy. I mean, I'll do other independents as Tony Myers, so I mean, people can put it together really easy. They see it for what it is. Not only that, um, years ago during one of those press conferences, at Sushi Onita did the whole gimmick where he goes, "Don't call this guy Leatherface." He goes, "We've had Leatherfaces in here before," and Onita's idol was Terry Funk, who wrestled as Chainsaw Charlie. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so Onita goes, "Call this guy Chainsaw Tony, because that ain't nothing but Tony Myers from Memphis, Tennessee, wrestling under that mask." So once he did that, it was like people already knew. I'd be in Kurokan Hall, I'd be going to wrestle someplace in Tokyo, and they'd be like, "Tony Maya." I'd be like, everybody knows it's me under the mask. I don't know who you think you're kidding. It's like, it's too obvious, and especially when they have like Onita tell everybody at a press conference, "That ain't nothing but Tony Myers under that mask." It's like, oh well, like they didn't know,
Who is your favorite horror character and favorite horror movie?
Oh, that's too obvious.
Yeah.
But other than that, I love the whole Jason thing too. So just because it had so many layers of story there, with the mom being the original killer in the first, and the son seeking out the revenge. Remember, he wore like a potato sack over his head in the whole second one. You remember? And then he finally finds a hockey mask to wear. But the Leatherface thing fascinated me because what a whole band of freaks, you know. And there are people in Texas that are pretty much still living like that to this day. They're cannibals, and to me was such so many layers of the Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing because how did this family get to this point? Who did they procreate with? Where how did these people exist every day? What do these people do if they have a toothache? Like there's so many questions that come up when you look at it and you're like, could this really happen? And I mean, when the first one was released, that was the entire rumor was that it was based on a real story, but the girl went nuts after the whole, you know. So, but yeah, the entire Hewitt family and everything. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It always fascinated me, and then just imagine how much I loved it and loved the character. And I thought the coolest thing was watching a wrestler do it. And I thought, wow, how is this going to work? But like, you know, you get into it, you get into it. You kind of combine Randy Savage's voice with Ultimate Warrior and all that. You combine those two. You put about as much effort as you can into it. Like my whole thing has always been when I go to wrestle, I want to be the kind of wrestler that I wanted to watch as a kid that would interact with people, that had charisma, that would scream and yell, and you know what I mean. Like I wanted to do that. I didn't realize that getting up the energy to go out there and do it at 49 is going to be a different story when you're 49. But your
Yeah.
passion, it's your love for it anyway. You carry through on it because you go, hey man, people pay good money for this. Like, um, I had uh, I had an old necktie that I used to wear, and I remember selling it to one of the fans, and I remember getting a crazy amount of money for it. And like, it's one of those things that kept me motivated. Was I go, listen, someone like that is out there that's willing to spend good money for that kind of stuff, and like, you have to work extra harder just to keep up and prove that you're worth it. Like every night I was doing whatever I could to get as tired as I could, to be as drained as I was of energy, to use every bit of energy that I had to keep spinning around, going nuts with the chainsaw and everything. And I was like, not only is like me getting myself in good shape because it takes a lot of energy, like you you're restricted with a mask for your facial expression, so you let other things overcompensate for it. You get more hands in there, you get more, body movement, kicking your legs, screaming, whatever, you're gonna have to do that because you're restricted here. And people could still see the crazy eyes and the teeth and everything, but they don't get to see the rest of what's under. So use other things to compensate. Swing the chainsaw some more, rev it a little louder, chase more people around. Like you got to do whatever you can to. Somebody's paying that kind of money for a ticket. Give them every bit of their money's worth. You have to, whether you're fat, lazy, old, young, inexperienced. It doesn't matter. Those Japanese people, even if they couldn't speak English, now my Japanese is fluent enough. I understand everything they're saying, but like, um, you're already something different. Own it, like prove to them that you're not just there to make a payday. Prove to those Japanese people that like I belong here. I'm willing to give you my effort. I'm willing to give you as much as I could because I'd be buying a ticket right now if it wasn't watching me. I'm always going to be a
Yeah.
wrestling fan. I try to explain to people when they say like, "Well, how do I get a foot in the door in Japan?" It's like you don't seem to understand. I was handed something that was already something successful, but for 6 years I spent on the indie scene in Japan, spinning my wheels trying to get somewhere. I'm under all these different masks. Because they could use you 2 or 3 times in the same show, under different identities, and that's the way that a lot of the indies go over there. So, for me, it was like, and then Mr. Pogo opens up WWS in 2000, and so at that point it was just like, all right, they hand selected me to carry on the Leatherface thing. The original had legal problems, and the other one led a great life with a beautiful young Japanese girl that's still his wife to this day, as he owns a ranch in Winnipeg. So it's like honor my forefathers' work, everything that they put into to make this thing work, and on top of it, it could have been anybody but me that was selected, to be put in it. I'd done every gimmick
Yeah.
there was to known to man, just to get to that point. But like, um, I never took it for granted. That's why even at my age, I'm still going and like I'm getting excited thinking about in 4 weeks I'm gonna be back in Japan. I have so many friends that I consider family. I've spent my Christmases, my Halloweens, my birthday, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Um, just imagine all the time I've spent with those people. You genuinely get a lot of good friends there that you don't want to let them down either because friends of mine will go out and tell somebody, I know this wrestler. He's got a bunch of shirts that he sells, and he's got T-shirts, and he's got stickers and keychains, and you know. This time it's a bit different when I go to Japan because I have a whole bunch of leftover stuff for moving here. That's just extra stuff. Like there's over in the corner behind the second bag that I have,
Yeah.
there is newspaper articles from like the late 80s and early 90s. What I'm going to do when I go back
Oh
to
wow.
Japan is bring it with me. And then I could sign those and give them to private collectors. And, it's number one, I'm being paid some money for it. Number two, it's like they're going to have more value in that than I am of that. I'm not going to value it as much. They're just sitting around here collecting dust. so,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's one of those things to where it's like, well, somebody that'll value this more than me will get it. They'll know
Yep.
what to do with it. Yeah. Me, it's just a bunch of stuff that's just going to sit around here and collect dust and not get out there. Somebody else is going to enjoy it a lot more than me. Let them do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
If a movie was made about your career, who would you want to play you?
oh man, I don't think anybody could ever get my mannerisms and everything. The closest person that comes to that is my kid, but she's a girl. so anyway, I don't know. You'd probably have to get some chubby guy, right? You probably have to maybe nah. I was gonna say, hmm. I don't see Seth Rogen couldn't pull it off. Adam Sandler, no, he's too sophisticated. I can't name any decent Middle Eastern people. You can get to play me. Shoot. Man, never actually sat there and thought about it. Well, you're coming up with a lot of questions that are going to make me think later. I'm going to be like, damn it, I can't believe I didn't say that.
Yeah.
God, I can't imagine who. Get a young person that hasn't been discovered that they could find at some local like theater. That's somebody, you know what I mean? Um, Give
Yeah.
it to somebody like that, but they would really have to study and examine me. you know,
Yep.
that in itself might drive them nuts. Annoying habits or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, at first Pogo would just give me a mask that just it had, everything was enclosed. It was all the rubber casing, everything, top of it, and it was with the fake wig and all that stuff. Man, every night I would take that thing off. I mean, sweat would just be dumping out like this one under here. Sweat just runs right down, just runs right down your chest, and
Yeah. Yeah.
not only that, this is the actual mask from one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. The
Oh
exact
wow.
design and everything, yeah. But it's an old Lucha Libre mask that it was bonded over. And, after a couple of resizes and remeasurements, and you saw what I did with the fishing line and everything. The
Yeah.
guy that I took the gimmick over from, Rick Patterson, he makes masks. He does like one by one. He makes his own, and people pay like $400 or $500 because he puts so much labor into making the actual mask. I think
Yeah.
it's $70 or $100 worth of just material alone that he uses. It's incredible. But yeah, the rest of it's just his labor of love, and the fact that he took out the time, that much time to make them. Um, but yeah, I was when Pogo wanted to bring it back in the year 2015, 2016. I remember him coming to me going, "All right, work on your upper body, get it much bigger." And I was like, what's he getting ready to do?" And then he said, "We're bringing back the Leatherface thing and World Wing Spirit and WWS." And I was just like, hmm. And I told him, "Hey, there's a couple things I want to change around." He's like, "Yeah, what's that?" And I go, "It'll be cool if every day that, all the time that I use it, and, if I get the cuts, gig marks, razor, whatever. I was like, we'll leave it like the shirt's just torn apart, like I look like a zombie. Like zombies are the in thing back then. I was like, and then
Yeah.
we used my real hair, and so I came up with all this stuff, like having the Hayabusa style mask. It's modeled after a good friend of mine that passed away. He was a great, great guy too. So that was my way of always honoring him, was to go with the exact same design mask wise that he had. So, but yeah, I told you before. I remember, like, for the people that are out there that aren't prone to it, you and I had a conversation before. We were going back and forth, and I told you I tend to ramble, but so I'm still trying to stay on point with you here.
Yeah. If you got to choose this stipulation for your match, what stipulation would you choose?
Explosion. I still love the explosion thing, and when it's done right, it's the most beautiful thing in the world, and it's just I've heard other people say, yeah, but none of the ringside fans, you notice that they don't get hurt, and it's just silly, and it's just like to each their own. But to watch that build up for the entire thing, and then watching somebody go into something that's an explosion is like, to me, it's so cool. The whole boom,
Yeah.
boom, yeah. Now the engineering isn't here stateside, obviously, that they have overseas, but still, it's the entire, if I had to choose a stipulation, go with that. Or a hair match. This way, if I eventually lose my hair, I could just grow back and don't have to worry about split ends that I've been having.
Oh, yep. What has been the funniest thing a fan has said to you before?
I overheard a fan once ask, he has Jamie and Wolfie, PG-13. He asked them, he goes,
Oh
"So
yeah.
when do you all become professional?" And they were like, "What?" I guess because he was saying that because they were there, they weren't professional. They weren't in the WWE. But no, God, there's so many of them. I'm gonna try to limit it to a few. One of them was this guy saw me setting up the ring one time, and this old redneck comes up, and he was like, with his family, round glasses and a big old fat face. And he was like, "I heard that they hire somebody to go into the ring and slap a piece of meat when y'all punch each other." And I was like, "Slap a piece of meat when we get punched? They hide somebody under the ring to slap a piece of meat at the same time that we're punching each other." That might have been one of the funniest damn things I've ever heard. I was like, who would they hire, and would they go under there with like a raw piece of meat? And like, how would they see the other guy? I guess they got a monitor. Like, just thinking about that whole thing, I was like, man, you have a chance to like meet a professional wrestler. Like, even when I was breaking in, I just met a wrestler. I would never say anything that goofy. Like,
Yeah.
makes no sense. Hire somebody to slap a piece of meat every time someone gets punched in the ring. Yeah. That's got to be a friend.
Yeah.
Or um, funny fan interaction over in Japan. This little kid comes up and he's going, ah, and he's doing the Leatherface thing. And I'm like, look at this little dude go. And then his father comes over there, big smile on his face, and his father goes, he won't stop talking about you. He's your biggest fan. You're his biggest drive. I mean, he's always going, look at me, I'm Chainsaw Tony. And all of a sudden his little brother comes over there out of curiosity, and the little brother's sitting there for a few seconds, and he's just looking at me. And then um, The little brother was maybe 5 years old. Then all of a sudden, the little kid's looking at me, and he's looking at the mask, and all of a sudden, he just starts going. He starts crying. I was like, I didn't even do anything. This kid waited like 5 minutes. Now it bothers him, this mask. What the hell? Or when Japanese people, whenever they bring their kids over there to meet me, and their kids are like 2, 3 years old, and they're just scared out of their mind. Or especially with like if a kid's like within the first year of its life, the way that the kid will look at you is the funniest thing. Like, you ever take like a lighter and you just light a lighter and you let a dog look at the lighter? It's the weirdest look on the dog's face. Like it knows that inherently that it's some kind of um that it's there's some kind of harm or something bad, but the dog
Oh,
it doesn't act on it. It's just it's looking at you like I know that you're up to no good. I know that fire is bad, but it's not striking me. But you could see the look and the fear in the dog. You're just like, what the hell? That's what it's like when a kid that's anywhere from like 2 months to maybe a year, and the little kid's just looking at you. You're like, oh boy, like that happens with me anyway because I'm a foreigner, especially on the trains in Japan. Kids are the worst. They look at you like, what the hell is this? What is this creature? It has round eyes. Oh, what the hell is that? You know, what am I looking at? Oh, look, it's eating. Oh my God, it drinks water. Oh my God, it drinks water.
what has been a best fan compliment you have received either at like a show or convention or?
Anytime someone tells me, like, my kid emulates you, or my kid did artwork and has like up in their room, they have like a picture that they drew of you and they show you on their phone, or that something that you yourself personally, randomly you see these people on Facebook wearing your t-shirts or wearing your merchandise, and you're like, wow, they have to explain to somebody what the hell that is. Why is this guy in a chainsaw and mask, and why is it written in Japanese? Like, doesn't make any sense. But then the weirdest thing is got to be on top of it all, it's like you're used to being that foreigner. You're used to not having a place there. You're used to being like a weirdo. The coolest thing is that you just own it after a while. Like, you don't take off your mask when you're getting on the train. You're like, you're gonna look at me crazy anyway. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm drying as I'm getting out the shower. It's freezing cold at night. Like, I'm pretty sure that I look just disgusting and disheveled. I'm hauling around my my knee pads are all full of sweat. I'm pretty sure I smell at this point, even after a shower. Like, people are gonna look at you all crazy anyway. So you just kind of own it and you go, all right, I'm a human damn freak show. What do I care? Like
Yeah,
you've ever seen over on my TikTok account. Um, my TikTok account, you see video after video after video after video of me as a DJ last Halloween in Japan, and you can see me
yeah,
spinning at the table, and you can just see me tripping and raving out my hair everywhere. You see me with the mask, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, got the mask on. You know what? Like, every club that you go into, everybody's celebrities anyway. So, like,
yeah,
whether you realize or recognize me from wrestling, or the fact that I've been the DJ at the same club for the past like 4 or 5 years, no matter what, it's like to receive that kind of recognition and somebody knows that you're like something out of the ordinary or some kind of entertainer or something, or it's an entertainment arts. That alone is awesome. That alone is like such cool recognition where you're just like, look at this, like these people, they dig it, man. They can respect the artistic merit. They really enjoy that somebody has went that far of the way to not get a haircut for 9 years and grow their hair out, and and not too many
yeah,
people that nobody's going to really um, push that edge, to where it becomes such a part of their life that they've altered their looks, for it. But you know, uh, for me, I don't know. It became such easy access thing. If you see how it goes, you saw before, goes on, it goes off. It's
Yeah.
I don't even think twice about it no more. I just put a whole ton of conditioner in my hair and go out there and wrestle and on to the next town. There's the thing, like night after night, those towns can wear on you, where you're just like, oh, this building again. Oh, I'm wrestling this guy again. And then you go, you're being hired to come in here to do something. This is why you have a work visa. This is why you pay taxes. And then you go back to America and you're able to pay months and months of rent that you weren't even there for, or make all your car payments and everything. And you're like, that's because I sold all those T-shirts in this town. That's because I sold all this merchandise in this other town. That's because people were, I was at the last few stickers that I had, and they were selling for like $20, $30 American money a piece because I was signing them. You don't forget about those kind of things. And also, it tells you too how fortunate you are and to spend your money wisely on things that are necessary and
Yeah.
not recreational or anything like that. Yeah, so it de- it definitely motivates and drives you in the right direction.
Yep. Which wrestler has given you the best advice and or compliment?
Advice I've always had to say Mr. Pogo, Tetsuya Sekikawa, because he wrestled all over America and he was the first one to provide me a full time living in Japan. And not only that, his advice was just absolutely priceless. Like whether it be American way of looking at business or Japanese way of looking at business, he told you what was what. And never pulled no punches. Um, Complimentary wise, he wasn't that big on compliments. Uh, Onita always has been because Onita was like, I see the shit that you go through for that guy's company. He's like, man, what loyalty. And then years later, Onita had to me doing the exact same thing for his company. So it was like that's always been complimentary to me. That's always been like such a cool way to look at things. Uh, Keeps you motivated. Um, it's the same way when I was like in Memphis and I was wrestling for a guy like Jerry Lawler, not making the most money, but the things that he would tell you that you did right, okay, it really motivate you to continue either doing those same things or maybe pick it up a step. Maybe they'll see something else in me. You know, um,
Yep.
for me that was always neat. You're not going to find many bosses out there that are going to tell you, oh, this was great and that was great. Most of their advice is don't ever do this again. This looked terrible. Don't, this was stupid. Don't do this, or so um, pretty much the harder somebody was on you, the more that you would still learn because, you'd be like, all right, if it looked that terrible, I better not do this again. Other times you just get to the point where you're like, I've had it. All I've done all I've done is sit here and listen to this guy like unmotivate me and tell me what I'm doing wrong. You almost start getting upset, but then you're like, they're probably doing it for a good reason. But if it
Yep.
reaches, yeah, if it reaches the point where like somebody's just saying it to you, get on your nerves and piss you off, you're like, I don't want to be around this person.
Yep.
Or you lash out, which is the worst thing you could do. Like, I've done everything for this company. I bought enough blood to fill a battleship, and listen to the way you still talk to me. I mean, like, every now and then it gets that, and it's a side you don't want
Yeah.
people seeing of yourself. It's embarrassing.
Yep. Do you like being a heel or babyface more in wrestling?
A heel's a lot easier. It's so much easier to get people to hate you than it is like you. It's almost too easy. It's almost too much fun to just do that. But um, babyface is great, man. When something works, it works, and you got yeah, people behind you and everything. But the only problem with that is a lot of the time, I've seen this happen so many times. People start to believe that. they really start to believe that, like in real life, that they're just, that they could do no wrong and that they're, you know, that's the thing that
Yeah.
ruins it all. When somebody really truly starts believing their own hype, and you're like, dude, you're a lucky man that was by the stroke of a pencil in here. You're no better, no worse than anybody else. So they could have selected anybody. You just got lucky that
Yeah.
they selected you. Yeah.
Was there ever a time in your career you ever got kicked out of a wrestling show you were wrestling at?
Let me think. Not kicked out. I left at my own on my own, because I saw the bad moon rising. I could see that the boss was pissed at me, the company was pissed at me, or they were finishing me up. But I was smart enough by then to not make a scene and be like, "Yeah, you know what? I don't need this place." Because, if you've ever seen,
Yeah.
what was the name of that movie? It was Can't Hardly Wait with Jennifer Love Hewitt. And the guy was like a big deal in high school, and now high school's over. And they're all laughing at him, and the guy's standing in the room, and the guy goes, "I'll kick everyone's ass in this room." Like everybody's just still laughing at him. Like, the worst thing you could do is just lash out and say something. Or you think of the right thing to say, and you're like, if somebody says this to me, I'm letting them have it with this. And then that doesn't happen. You're like, eh. But then you wind up being invited back to the same company, and you go, you know what? I'm glad I didn't say that. If I had said that shit, they wouldn't allow me to come back. They'd have been
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's the guy that told us to screw all of our moms." It's almost like you got to be really careful what you say, especially like the more time that I've had to think about it over the years, especially in anger. That's the number one point in time where you really, really, really have to like think about what you say, because it could just get worse. If you say the wrong thing, it makes it like it makes it like 10 times worse, doesn't it?
Yeah. Was there any time you hit a fan or wanted to?
There's been several situations where fans taking a shot at me or grabbed me, or I remember a fan grabbing a giant board I was bringing to the ring to attack a babyface. So I remember that, and like pushing a guy, shoving a guy, like pulling away at the board. Um, Another time we went to hit the ring with, oh God, I was there's a couple of chairs, and a fan just reached out and grabbed it, like snatched a chair from me, and I was in such shock that the guy even did it. I'm only like, 19 or 20 years old when that happened. But I was just like, what the? And before I even knew it, the guy I was coming to attack the baby faces with, ringside, the guy just like completely sucker punched this fan in the face. Like it just blind. The guy didn't see it coming. He had the other chair, and the other guy, the fan grabbed the chair, and he was like putting it down real gently, and the other guy just chair in this hand that was down at his waist, and he just came like this and just pow. But there's been several times. I'll never forget. The most recent one was 2019. Onita's coming to. Yeah, okay. Me and Onita do our thing. I go throw him into the chairs. He reverses me. I go over a whole like row of chairs, and I landed. And when I landed, I heard like this crunching sound. I looked over
Yeah.
there with a bunch of the guy's DVDs that I fell on. There must have been 3 or 4 DVDs. And before I could get up and be like, "Hey, I'll replace them" or anything, I could feel the guy, his foot was like down, by where my face was, and I could feel him twice just kick me right in the side of the face, like real short, like rabbit kicks. Um, the only thing I did, I got up and I was like, "Man, I understood. I tore up your DVDs, man. What the fuck? You just kicked me." And when I mushed him by the face, the guy just got kind of mushed by the face, and he got up like he was going to do something. And that's when I think like Onita grabbed me, and we went to brawl into another part. But like that was the last time anything got like physical, because I mean I could feel the guy just I could feel him just kick me right in the side of the face. Not like
Yeah.
not like a football punt, just kind of like a nudging kick. But I got up and I told the guy in Japanese, I'm like, that was unnecessary. I mean, accidents are accidents, man. I'd have came over there and bought you, got you a new DVD. I said that like I was speaking out of anger, and at the same time, I was like, "Oh, I'm in the right on this one." The guy just kicked me in my face twice. So yeah,
Yep.
that's when I mushed him by the face. Was like letting him know, "Oh, hey man, I ain't getting punted in the face. Like even a short punt, I'm not getting short punted in the face twice and not doing anything about it."
Yeah. What has been your most favorite wrestling company you have wrestled for?
Always will be WWS, World Wing Spirit, Japan, and the Gunma Prefecture, Pogo. Just because, like I said, I was dwelling around the indie scene for about 6 years, and then uh, Pogo had told me at the beginning of those 6 years, he goes, "One day I'll have my own company in Japan. You'll see." And I was just like, "Oh wow," I'm thinking, if that ever happens, that's great. But I've been told stuff like that before by people, and even at like 20 years old, I was like, "Yeah, well, we'll see. That would be cool. That'd be exciting." Well, 6 years later, when he wasn't working, with one of the mainstream companies over in Japan, that's what happened. He was running his own and started them up, and it was just like freedom to do whatever the hell I wanted to do, and wrestling under a different mask, being young, wanting to wrestle as much as I could on the show, and
Yeah.
being able to, go out there with all these different opponents, all these different styles. You're going against a Korean guy who's a kickboxer, and you're just like, how would that match even look? You're saying to yourself. In one sense. Then in another sense, you're like, all right, let's see how it's going to turn out. Well, I'm pretty sure this guy, he's going to take some shots at me, which there's nothing you can really do. But, well, you got to do what you got to do. You got to get through it.
Yeah.
Don't put anything up that's stupid that's going to hurt. Like, clench your fist. Don't get your fingers in there because he'll break your fingers if he kicks you hard enough. So, yeah, everything's all been a learning process, but the majority of it always came from Pogo and his the World Wing Spirit. I mean, it was just right from the get go. It was so much fun, and it never stopped being fun. The only time in
Yeah.
recent memory where you could say it stopped being fun was um, the big split that happened with Takase and his old business partner Ramen Man. That's when WWS started not being fun because now they were telling you you couldn't freelance for other certain companies, and I'm like, no, I'm an independent contractor. I'm going to freelance for whoever, whatever money's right, whatever promotion's there. You can't tell somebody who's even a full time employee. Like it's just
Yeah.
talk about an illegal monopoly. I mean, no. I know where my priorities lie with certain promotions over other ones. That's obvious.
Yeah.
That goes without saying. But I'm talking about if you're only running 3 house shows a month, and then you come to me and you go, "Hey, you can't do this on this date or whatever." I'm going to tell you, I'm only booked on 3 dates for the entire month for this company. I'm a freelancer. I got to go. I got bills. I'm not going to sit here and starve with you.
Yep.
I'm going to get out there and make some money.
Definitely. Would you rather join DX, NWO, APA, or BWO?
Oh man. Well, BWO for the hilarity, but uh, DX. Hey man, it was a bunch of guys that were having a lot of fun, and not only
Yep.
that, look at how white hot it was. NWO was the cooler thing, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
They were the cooler thing, but yeah, I don't know. To me, like DX was always cooler. It was more cutting edge and more. Yeah, NWO is just like okay, here we go. Just and the watering down of it and how bad it got towards the end. It was just how many times they brought it back. They did more damage to the legacy of it.
Yeah.
It was like DX poke fun at themselves when they brought it back. Yeah, DX was like,
Yep.
Like, look at us, we're old. What what are we thinking doing half of this juvenile stuff? What were we thinking the first time around? Yeah, so
Yeah. If you could have any band or singer perform your theme song, who would you want that to be?
oh goodness, let Nirvana in their prime have come out with something that would have just that would have just been like a rock alternative kind of thing. That would have been really cool. I think it would have been.
Yeah.
Just imagine, the kind of stuff that they would come up with. I myself was in a
Yeah.
crappy garage band at one point, like the mid to late '90s, and I don't know. I was like, we're not going anywhere. We're not really doing anything. And they're like, yeah, and there's a pain in the ass having to practice. And we were like, what are we doing? We're not going to catch the world on fire. We're just up here basically doing karaoke.
What is the least favorite wrestling move to have happen to you?
It would have to be something that somebody who didn't know exactly what they were doing was doing, And I remember one guy, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put my leg behind your head, and then I twist and I do this." I wound up breaking like one of the bones. I could show you exactly where it is. This right here. See this bone on your ankle, on the side of your ankle? I don't know how the hell the guy did it, but
Oh, yep.
he wound
Yeah.
up breaking off a piece of the bone on the outside of my ankle on this bone right here.
Oh,
And
jeez.
all because he said that it was his finisher and and all that good stuff. Well, at first this guy came to me and I go, "What do you do for a finish?" And he goes, "Well, I body slam you, then I go off the top rope and I hit you with this leg drop or knee drop or whatever." He goes, "Then I pick you back up and I drape my leg over your head and I spin and I flip like this." And I was just like, "Wait a minute. Your finisher takes like 40 seconds to pull off. Like, just give me something quick. Just give me something." So I just had the thing where he draped his leg over my head and he flipped over and spun. And when he did that, I mean, he landed right on my ankle and that piece of bone popped. And I was just like, for what? To me, it's just there's things that are dangerous, which that's cool. That's going to happen in wrestling. You're dropping somebody on their head. Um,
Yeah.
Always tuck your chin, all that good stuff. But like to me, it just gets to the point where it's like, how ridiculous and stupid is it? You know something's dangerous, but then the guy applying it or going to do it, why is he doing it? He's just going to wind up hurting somebody.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
like the great words of Chris Jericho was the first time he took the one-winged angel. He was like, "There's a move I will never take again," and it's just like, really, I don't blame you, man. I mean, at your age, what the hell are you doing taking it to begin with? You have nothing to prove to anybody. Why would you bother with that? It's totally
Yeah.
unnecessary. No one's going to look down on you for not doing it because really more people are going to look at you and think you're an idiot if you did it and took it, you know?
Yep. What has been the hardest move you have tried to do on an opponent before?
Oh my gosh. Um, because of the level of experience, I want to say the simplest moves to some people are the worst because you're like, it's a bottom wrist lock. How do you not know what the hell a bottom wrist lock is and how to, and then when you realize this person doesn't know how to reverse a bottom wrist lock, it's the most simple moves like that that are the most frustrating because you're expecting it to lead into something or for someone to take you from a wrist lock to go into like a tight waist lock or whatever. And then you
Yeah.
realize this person couldn't even pull that off. I'm like, that's like the very, 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 very basics. That's what pisses me off more than anything about the move itself is that I'm like, how is it possible? You don't even know how to reverse this hold. Like that shouldn't piss you off. That should just be a transitional thing. Like wrestle, wrestle, wrestle around. Okay, wrestle just a little bit more. That's the easiest way to figure it all out and figure out how somebody is in a ring. Is if just from the basics, and knowing that they can do this, they can do that. It's like when you see that people don't even know how to do that. You're like, how is something this basic pissing me off so much and just so hard for this person to pull off? You're like, what the hell is the matter? Like, if you didn't have the proper training to at least know that, what are you even doing out here? How did you wind up coming out here to begin with? Like, oh man, stuff like that is more frustrating than anything. Anything.
Yeah. If you could take any signature move from any other wrestler and use it, what signature would that be?
Oh, geez, man. Because some guys come up with great stuff, man. You know,
Yeah.
at first, everybody loved the Death Valley Driver, like in the late 90s. And then when you saw like John Cena doing like a G-rated version of it, you're like, oh no. Like, he made a Death Valley Driver uncool because he just like lets the guy go and flings him. It's like the whole thing was,
Yeah.
it's a driver. They're supposed to be driven. It's like he just kind of flings them and lets them go. I'm like, stuff like there's so much stuff that you watch that could be frustrating to you because you're like, how could they not make it look so great? But the STFU, you're like, oh geez, like his hands are clasping and he's nowhere near the guy's chin or anything.
Yeah.
But oh man, I completely stole from Terry Funk the whole, when you put your, the eye rake where you put your foot on top of someone's forehead, but then you spin around on the one foot. It's like an eye rake that goes around in a circle with your foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I've stolen that from the second Leatherface. I stole his moonsault from the top rope to the floor. Uh, I basically stole everything from everybody already because I thought, that looks cool, or that looks exciting, or that looks like fun. Hey, that looks awesome. So yeah, I've already stolen
Yeah.
enough from everybody over the years. I remember,
Yeah.
I remember when I went to CCW the first time with the mask. So, my friend told me, he was like, "Yeah, he's like he took his nephew. This is before the guy even knew me." And he said, "Yeah," he said, "when you came out with the tie, the dress shirt and the tie and the mask like this, he was like, he was saying it's mankind." And I was like, it's a kid, man. Of course they can say all kinds of crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've stolen everything from everyone already. I've stolen enough.
Yeah. So when you did stuff for the WWE as an extra, what exactly did you do for them and stuff?
um, Everything from one time we carried out King Mabel Viscera. We carried him to the ring, on
Oh, wow.
Crown and the Scepter. It was me, TD Steele. There's a whole bunch of Memphis job guys. Um, Everything from that to when they ran the one time at the Pyramid in Memphis, when they had the like uh, it was Bob Backlund doing like the step testing with Mick Foley, and the Iron Sheik was there, like you know, telling Foley what to do, and like, yes, go, go. Like I was over there by that before the Rock attacked him with like one of the plants or whatever. Um, all kinds of silly stuff. When they came to Memphis, I was one of the guys that ran in and got super kicked by Shawn Michaels on Monday Night Raw. So it's me and a whole bunch of other Memphis guys that did it. So yeah, it was like no matter what they call you down there, you just be down for anything. You never know. It could wind up being a foot in the door. Not only that, 250 a night was better than what most independents were paying around the area anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you are. You're talking. Besides, there's other ways of hustling and getting money. I know Jerry Lawler came to me during a Monday Night Raw, and he said Triple H is very sick, and he said, but he hadn't eaten anything all day, and he wants a steak. He's like, take him by Poor Henry's over off of where the hell was it? Memphis. I think it was off Poplar Ave, like right by Poplar. He goes, take him over there. It's nice and quiet. And he said, it's a Monday night, so it shouldn't be too busy. And he goes, you know those people. And I go, yeah, sure. And so I was like, next thing I knew, they had me, um, next time I saw Lawler, he handed me an envelope. He was like, "Hey," he said, "it's a good conversation piece, this, that, and the other." So there was always stuff like that, like extras would get stuck doing. One time I showed up there, and they called me down there, and they didn't have anything for me, and they still gave me a $250 check. So I was like,
Oh
even
wow.
better. Yeah, I'm like, my attitude is, well, the less I have to do, like I'll earn my money if I got to earn my money, but the less I have to do to actually get paid, all right, it's like we win.
Yeah,
To me,
definitely.
that's like a big victory for us. Like, yeah, we got money for doing absolutely nothing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that from that to Tonka, Diesel, Crush. I'm trying to think of all the guys that beat me up on that TV. But yeah, the funniest thing is like every time I went to go up there, they would just be like Jason Elliott, Jason Wright. They would always be like a bunch of just random. And I'm like, how do they even decide these names? Like, you know, um, and it was because like I would go up there with like a gimmick name, and they'd be like, you can't use Spanish Fly on, it's too strong for TV. And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, well, what? And I was like, you wrestlers over just be a little different guy, a little extra. He come and finding out, all right, they went with Romeo Rodriguez. That's me. And one day I met the TV, it was like, TV, Charlie Laird and Tony Myers. And I was like, who the hell's Tony Myers? I guess that's me. All right, that's me. So yeah, I mean, extra work was great. I mean, you're backstage with all the WWE talent. You're like, God only knows what they find for me to do. And if you were invited,
Yeah.
you had every reason to be back there. I never made a habit of going there more than once or twice. If I wasn't booked or if I wasn't going to show up there and just hope to God somebody could use me. Like, because I saw so many other people doing that and looking tacky and out of place. And I'm like, I don't want that to be me. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys standing around like, oh, you, you ever seen like when Shrek came out on DVD? My kids were real little, and you remember like Eddie Murphy as the donkey, and the
Yep.
DVD title, he's like, "Pick me, pick me." It's like, "Ooh, pick me, pick me." That's what they all look like down there. I mean, if they're not invited to go to the WWE, I mean, they're just walking around backstage like, "Please find something for me to do." I always hated that. I was like, I could never do that. Really, I mean, ah,
Yeah.
I could never
What
do.
usually yeah. What usually got you hyped for a match that you were gonna be in?
Um, Definitely the camaraderie of some of my coworkers. They get in my ear and they'd be like, "What do you think, man?" And I'd be like, "Let's do this. Let's rock. Well, let's get in there and do what we gotta do." I can't wait. So hey, you see who jumped in here? Look at this. It's Jason Knight from ECW. You see him?
Oh,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I know. I saw that you had some of the people that you had lined up for your show. I'm like, wow, man, getting together a good roster, getting together some good things, man.
Yeah, I've had many big names now.
Yeah, I see that. It seems like it just keeps growing, and that's awesome. I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah.
Building up yourself a good rapport. That's good. It's like I told you,
Yep.
I told you on the phone, just like I said, I would say it on the podcast, and it's the truth. Without guys like you there to document a lot of this stuff, you know, it's just gonna fade out from my memory, and I'm just gonna forget about it anyway. You're better off interacting, get things off your chest. If you got a grievance, then you got a grievance. If you don't, you just want to come on. Everybody's got something to say. Say it.
Yeah.
Unless it's all just truly slanders and negative, and I could never be one of those people toward wrestling. I guess so many of my friends I have moved on from wrestling, and they just they'll talk bad about her, bad about promoters, or bad about experiences, and it's just like then that means that the time that we spent there was a big waste of time because you didn't like it, you got nothing out of it, it was nothing for you, blah blah blah, and it's just like then what was the point? You didn't do it for the money, you know. You didn't do it
Yep.
for the chicks, or you didn't do it for anything else. Like you did it because that's the thing that you wanted to do at that point in your life. Well, shoot, then you just wasted all that time if wrestling means it meant absolutely nothing to you. Like I would have honestly felt that my life would have been complete unless I could have had a match. And then as time went on, I told myself, until you can make a full time living. And then I told myself, hey, if you could buy a house, or hey, if you could make a living in Japan doing this, or you know what I mean? Like I just upped the ante, and there's absolutely no regrets because for some crazy reason it worked out for me. But that definitely means that, you know, damn near anybody's a shoe in to actually succeed in wrestling. If
Yep.
if I was able to put through my kids through college doing it, or bought myself a new house like I have and that kind of thing, I mean, you know, um, it just means that at that point in time, I was just in the right place at the right time with the right people watching. That's all that really means. I mean, success is
Yeah.
nothing but failure turned inside out. You know,
Yep. What is your favorite thing to do after all your matches?
first thing I do is grab a towel. I swear that is my favorite thing to do. I don't need any water. I don't need any more coffee. First thing I do is look for that towel. I go, where? Oh yeah, towel. Thank God. It just feels so much better right away. You know. Then I go and I search for whoever, and just you know do my rounds, see if anybody watched it. I even do that to this day. See if anybody watched it and ask them, "What'd you think? Was it all right? Yeah, how was it out there?" I'm still, no matter how old I grow, I'll always be in that self improvement. I want, you know, I want to continue to improve until the day I stop breathing. I want to improve. I want things to, I want things for me to get better. I want, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
I can't help myself. I'm a creature of habit. Like I just, a lot of questions out there, a lot of thinking, a lot of motivation. You know, as long as I'm still going, all right.
Yep. Have you ever wrestled or done anything in Wisconsin before?
Oh man, now I gotta really think. Nothing is coming to mind. Oh my God. I think I'm drawing a complete blank. That might be the only state that I have not wrestled in.
Oh wow.
I've been up to Alaska. Um, Hawaii was like 2 weeks. Uh, wow. No, never Wisconsin. I think everywhere else on this planet but Wisconsin, it feels like.
I hope someone books you up here sometime soon.
It'd be nice just to say that, just to at least say that I've done it. The only problem remains is that like I'll get more with a regular job and working a regular job, like in one night than most people are able to like offer or whatever. And as a wrestler, that's so frustrating because you're like, like for me to have to take off work and I'm gonna earn less money. I'm not a young guy trying to get my name out there anymore. I'm a guy that's happy to tell my daughter, hey, call me at 10 o'clock and Skype me and we'll talk then, and that kind of thing. Like, or sit there and watch my grandson on Skype or whatever,
Yeah.
like I'm way happier doing that than in any way than I am, getting together with the guys and having beers. It's like, you guys, you know where I'm at. You know where to find me. and that kind of thing. Although there is like a rare exception, like uh, what's on my chainsaw out in the garage, the ACW, Jason Knight's company. Um,
Yep.
I mean, the money was great and everything else. It's just that now with me being in Florida as opposed to me being in Jersey like I was, you know, how difficult is it? I just went from having like a 2 hour drive to, now he's looking at like plane tickets or whatever to get me up there. It's just like, oh God, you know? Um, so things like that, you know, something stands in the way, but still, it's still not like a big deal. It's not to me. When you wrestle for some promoters that'll bring you in, they're like, they want you to spend the whole week there and help them continue to. And there's no real nice way of saying, man, I got to take off a whole week. Yeah, but you're going to sell that in T-shirts or pictures, or it's like there's no guarantee on that, And then
Yeah.
I don't want to have to overcharge somebody to have to go all the way out there, and then I look like I'm just this big league, like I want so much money to wrestle. It's like no, we're looking at all week long having to spend for the same company, you know.
Yeah.
I hope that made sense to you, but yeah, it's some people don't take into consideration having to leave behind your job, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to think about it because it's not their life.
What is one thing you would tell your wrestling fans?
How truly much it means to you when, somebody just randomly go, hey, man, happy birthday, or hey, man, how you holding up in Japan? How's everything going? Or it means the absolute world, especially, late at night. Nights can get lonely, even if you're in the club, even if you're with a bunch of chicks, even if you're with a bunch of friends, even if you and your friends are eating and continuing to party throughout the night. Still, when you go to lay down, you're like, it does get kind of lonely out there at night. And it's not it's because you are physically one half of a planet away, and
Yep.
so when people send you stuff or just check in on you, see how you're doing, how you're feeling, that kind of stuff is fantastic. Other people, they have an agenda when they come to you with it, and it's just like you can either one see through their agenda, or number two, you could say, you know, I see this guy trying to be cool and everything. It's like I know who my friends are. I don't have time to sit around and wonder, does this guy have an agenda? What does this guy want from me? What is this guy looking at? Oh God, he just wants a job for him and his buddy, work over here in Japan. It's like that kind of thing. I get that all the time from so many people. And it's like some of my best friends
Yeah.
are sitting at home right now. It's like, I don't care. I'll name drop. Like Flash Flanagan sitting at home. What makes you think that like I don't want him on tour with me? I would love to hang out with him. I've known that guy for 30 years, we starved together in Memphis. Other things it's like
Yep.
uh I was talking about the whole time thing before of, having to get on an airplane, go here, go there, and it's like something meaningless, random, and pointless that happened. Um I went down to give that wasn't Big Tom. Oh jeez. Oh, who was the young guy? Sakurai was Sakurai during
Mm.
18 Pro Wrestling Japan. Bent down, went to give him a back body drop, and his foot came this way, and he kicked me right in the mouth. You can see the old pictures too, because when he kicked me, at the time I just had all my teeth had been redone, and you can see the old pictures. This one tooth, this one, was like a lot longer than that one, and today I had to today I went to the dentist and I got it all evened off. See it?
Mm. Yep.
To where it's the same, you know, same same length on the teeth and everything. See, with something like that, Nobody takes into consideration, like, today was my day off from my regular job. So I had to go in for a dental appointment. I had to get all that fixed. I had to get that thing like all shaved down and everything. Like, nobody takes that into consideration. Like, I just couldn't go to the dentist for a tooth cleaning. I point out to him and I go, hey man, this got fixed. And then after it got fixed, I got kicked in my front teeth. And now it looks bad because one of them's longer than the other. Is there something you could do? Like, and you have to sit there for several extra minutes as they're taking x-rays, making sure that they don't file down to your root and infect it and it doesn't get abscess or whatever. It's just like nobody takes that kind of thing into consideration. Just like the whole accommodating somebody bringing them in and then bringing them to the airport and then bringing them to the hotel room. And you know what I mean? There's like so much in there that gets lost. It's not
Yep.
just a 1 day thing. You're having to spend the night, you know.
Yep. So I got one last question.
That'll probably take me 2 hours to answer, like everything else I say.
Do you have any advice for me to become a wrestler?
If it's what you really, really, really want to do, so help me God, do it. Do it because I'm going to tell you right now, what if? What if you were born with a condition where you were not allowed to? You could never become a wrestler. Or somebody said, there's no way. Back in the day, it was, you're too small. You're too this, you're too that, you're too young, you're too. Nowadays, it's much easier. Take advantage of that because you do not want to reach 30, 35 years of age, 40. Um, eventually you meet a girl, you start dating her, she becomes your girlfriend, then you get engaged, you get married, then you start having kids of your own later on. You don't want to be one of those people looking back going, what would have been like if I ever tried that? At least try it. At least give it a shot. If you say, that's ridiculous and I don't want to, or I'm just burned out and I'm bored with it, or I just don't like it, that's excuses and things for you to live with for the rest of your life. And a lot of people, they make the right decision by going, I don't need this no more. I have this, I have that. I chose to invest my money in dominoes and buy into two different dominoes. Um, it was always good to know that because I never had to depend on wrestling. Wrestling wasn't my end all, tell all, be all. Because what if I fell on the stairs and shattered my spine or something? Like, how would have I been able to support myself? Well, I invested
Yeah.
in something and then put into a regular job, something that I'll carry with for the rest of my life, ownership in the company, my own dominoes and that kind of thing, the ones that I invested in. Um, Best advice I could possibly give you, have something to fall back on because no matter how gifted you are inside of a ring, no matter how much people get in your ear and say, yeah, you're going someplace, you're going to be the next superstar, you're just going to need something to fall back on because
Yep.
there comes a time in every wrestler's life where they look in the mirror and they go, that's enough. And then they start worrying, going, I don't have nothing else going on. I got nothing else. What am I going to do? Work in a warehouse? Am I going to work in a factory the rest of my life? Like, I, I, I have coworkers who drive for Domino's, and that's all they do for a full time living. And some of them are the happiest people I've ever met. They're like, I never had to, they didn't have to worry about this, that, or the other. They're able to pay their bills, full time job, and they love it. They truly love delivering. They like seeing the smiles on people's faces, just as I like seeing a customer walk in the store. Hey, buddy, did you have an order placed? What name's it under? You know what I mean? As long as you're finding something that's honest and finding something that it is that you can do until you're 90 years old or makes you happy, do it. I mean, I'm running my own shows in Japan. I have 5 dates for something called Tony Myers 50 and middle aged and crazy. 50. I'm going to be 50 years old in January. So it's like, it's
Oh
another
wow.
another faucet in pro wrestling that I just love is that I'm able to run my own thing. I'm able to, put my friends to work. We're able to wrestle each other, beat each other up, and make money and have fun. And you know, seeing people out there that buy
Yep.
tickets, yeah, I mean, there's so much advice that applies here, and it's basically just a compilation of everything that I've been told. And I did it my own kind of weird way, but I did follow the template of having something to fall back on. And, you know, it's good not to take no for an answer. Forgive the double negative. It's a good thing that you're so, you know, you want to attack this thing and you want it to become something. That's great. That's fantastic. But who knows? You could along the way find something that, you know, even if you're not the best student in the world, if you find that one thing that you enjoy and love doing, there's schooling for everybody for everything out there for it. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny how it works out. It really is. Life just
Yep.
finds a weird way of working out as long as you're honest and you got something behind it. When you watch people try to take shortcuts, I just put it out on Facebook a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago, actually. I go, what the hell makes people commit crime so bad down here in Florida? Why do people wait to come down here to pull the most numbskull? You're like, is the jail food better? Do you think that you're going to get more leniency? You think it's like, why? Why? You could have committed these crimes in your own neighborhood. I don't know. People are weird. People are strange.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
It's the least I should do, man. You're here. You're documenting so much of what I have to say. I mean, what else can I say? If I met a stranger on the street and started telling about wrestling, or just imagine the way that they would look at me.
Yeah.
But man, I appreciate you for the platform and opportunity, and wrestling's what you love, man. There's so many damn things in wrestling, between referee, between booking, between ring announcing. I mean, there's just an entire wrestling itself. Wrestling's always going to need ring announcers. It's always going to need commentators. It's always going to need somebody who's willing to go the extra mile and contribute toward it. And wrestling has a bad habit of eating its young like that, of taking advantage of people like that. But that's everywhere in the world. It takes advantage of
Yeah.
people that put in the time, put in the patience, put in the work. That's everywhere you go. I've
Yeah,
yet,
definitely.
I've yet to meet a human being that's like, I'm being paid way more money than I should be. Nobody's dumb enough to say it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking your time out to do this as well.
Yeah, appreciate the platform, air and opportunity, and freedom of expression. It's like I told you, man. Without someone like you here to document it and ask the questions that you wanted answered, and you know, uh, probably provided people with more answers and a little something else that they didn't know about me. But yeah, yeah. Oh, my
Yep.
buddy Stuart Kemp, he's weighing in with how we saw Rick Patterson this past January. Yeah, I hope to see
Oh,
him at
yeah.
Cauliflower. Yeah, Rick is such you can't overstate what a kind-hearted human being he is. And the strangest thing about him is he's so humble to it all. He can't believe how many people remember him, and it's just like, man, it's like what more could you possibly say?
Yeah. Well, I think I'll let you go. And again, thank you for taking your time out to do this. And I hope you have a good rest of your night and whatever else.
Well, like life, it is what you make of it. And let's see. Let me see if I got to. I don't know how good of a shot you get of that. Kind of looks like a little bit of a shrine or whatever. But the chainsaws, these are all toys. Magazines I'm
Oh,
in,
yep.
stickers, wrestling figure, which, they got my hair and everything. The barbed wire FMW, but look at this. This is just in my room. These are all posters from Japan. I don't know how well you get to see all this, but see them one by one.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, every last one of them with me on it. And this thing, it just goes and goes and goes and goes. And even up into the big stuff for Magic Box Pro, full size posters, WWS.
Wow.
Yeah, me on top with Hiroshi Shimada. Me on top with Jun Kasai. Some of the biggest names out there, man. That was from
Yeah,
Jason
that's
Show
awesome.
himself. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, more WWS. This was a calendar that WWS put out. And you could see myself and you could see Jason. You see myself, you see Jason that are in here. And there's Takase with my old heavyweight championship. So, yeah, you can see the memories are all there. Enjoy talking
Yeah,
about it.
wow.
It's so great walking that back down memory lane to sit here and discuss it with you. But I appreciate you, man. I really do.
Yeah, definitely.
Been fun, man. I knew it would be a blast.
Yeah,
Rolling through all the old memories and looking ahead into the bright future too.
yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, man. It is what you make of it, no matter what. No matter if you're in Florida, Jersey, Japan, wherever. You know, you enjoy it, you enjoy it. You find a way to enjoy yourself, take advantage of it.
Yep.
Do whatever you can to prolong that happiness, man. A
Yeah.
lot of people stuck at work tonight. They're like, man, I can't wait to get the hell out of here. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is what you do with it. It is what you do with all of it. Yeah, I
Yep.
appreciate you too, man.
Yep. So, see ya. Have a good rest of your night.
Try my best as always, man. Thank you once again. You take very good care, all right, man?
Yeah, you take care